Hi, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wide world of sports, I tune to Sportsworldradio.
Hey, this is EAJ Man from Autopsy Live and the Skype Pirates. When I want to make it look like I give a shit about sports, I tune into Sports World Radio with Jeff Escow.
inside track on everything sports, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Sports World Radio, the fastest 2 hours of sport talk on the internet with your hosts, Jeff Escow and Elliot Big E Lamba.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Glad y'all could be here with us today on Sports World Radio. I am your host, Jeff Escal. That is Elliot Big E Lamba. We'll bring him in just a minute. Let's get all the particulars out of the way, and then we'll get on with the show. Sports World Radio is done each and every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. on the East, 3 p.m. on the West. And if y'all live in Essential, figure it out for yourself, because neither of us live there. Today's show is a good show. We got a jam-packed one for you. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/sportsworldradio, and also on Twitter at twitter.com/sportsworldradio. In fact, you want to follow us on Twitter, all you got to do is go up to our profile pictures up there in the circle, click on the little blue birdie there, and you can follow us right there on Twitter. If you like what you hear, tell a little birdie, and don't forget to tell your friends on Facebook as well. Today's show is jam-packed, like I mentioned. Quick preview for today's show. We got Derek Lofland coming in from fantasyfootballmaniacs.com, talking fantasy football with all you fantasy football players. That's coming up at 6:45 today, 3:45 on the West Coast. So get ready for that. What's going on, Jason Bates? We do this show every day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. on the East, 3 p.m. on the West. I've been doing the show for 10 years. We do it on Blab every day. We do it on sportsworldradio.com every day. And we're also on the blabchannel.com as well. With all that being said, what do you say? Hey, we bring in that co-host of ours, Elliot Biggie Lamba. What's going on there, buddy boy? Hey, how about unmuting yourself? Yeah.
But then you have to listen to me.
Yeah, then I'd really have to hear you. What's up, Paul? How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul. What's up, man? Hey, Paul is actually one of the members of my fantasy football league.
Oh, cool. We got Paul in the house. We got Jason in the house. And, of course, we got one of our closest listeners since we've been, one of our favorite listeners since we've been on Blab, Christine. And Christine's making moves for us here on Sports World Radio. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yay, Christine.
So get ready. Don't forget, Derek Lofland from fantasyfootballmaniacs.com is coming on Sports World Radio, coming on Blab, talking fantasy football. So get your fantasy football questions ready. You can ask him a fantasy football question you want. All right, Mr. Elliott, how you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm awesome, dude. Been a great day today. Got my new desk chair.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm inserted desk chair, man. It feels like a pillow on wheels.
I see that. Hey, you know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our good friend Brett, who's at every single one of our shows here. Thank you so much, Brett, for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Yes, Brett. We appreciate you being here, man. We do notice the KC helmet every single day.
That's right. I love having him here, man. He throws stats in the chat room all the time, too. It's great.
Yeah, he's like our pseudo producer.
Correct.
In a outbound sort of way. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. He's helping out here. I like that. What better way to occupy my time? Hey, great, man. I love more power to you, brother.
Well, everybody probably knows as well as you know, I'm here in Bradenton, Florida. It is 6:07 p.m. in the East, and currently the temperature is 84 degrees.
Hey, Farrakhan, if you play fantasy football, buddy, we got a fantasy football guy coming on, Derek Lofland from Fantasy Football Maniacs, joining us at 6:45.
Yeah, we do.
How about sticking us on the front page, buddy? Huh?
Yeah. That'd be a good time to go.
Yeah. Oh, you barely play, huh? Hey.
That'd be a good time to be on there.
Hey, Furcon, while you're here really quick, I could use a Blab hat and a Blab shirt so I can wear it all the time. I want to promote the hell out of it when I'm on other freaking shows, so hook me up, brother. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. And we will rock it. We will rock it on the show.
Every day. Every day we'll wear it. And you know we're on 6 days a week for 2 hours.
I mean, we got the Blab logo right up here every day.
Are you following me on Twitter? Let me see.
Okay.
I just followed you on Twitter, Furkan.
And I will head there right after the show and do the same.
Cool. Thank you, buddy. All right, let's go, man. Let's get on with the show.
Jeff,
and send all your fantasy football buddies in here today. 6:45 fantasy football talk. Don't forget about that.
Hey, what's the weather like over there?
Hey, Furkan, it's beautiful over here. Furkan, I'm working on a Raiders writer for you. I promise. I'm working on a Raiders writer for you. I got you in mind. He wants you to become a fan. I got you in mind. No, I can't become a Raiders fan. No, I can't become a Raiders fan. It's beautiful here in San Diego, dude. It's San Diego. It's gorgeous. Look, I got a T-shirt on for Jiminy Cricket's sakes. You and me are probably the only ones, people in California and Florida, the only ones who are warm. Everybody else is freezing.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
I know I could be in San Diego and be a Raider fan for but I happen to be a Giant fan. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to be a Giant fan, so that's almost work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, what happened to the Raiders against the Vikings there, Furkan?
I don't know. That's a nice little. That's a nice little.
That's a nice
thing
plug.
right there,
Every
right?
single time we're on the air, no matter
Every
which show we're on. Bam.
That's right. Every show our banners are there, so they see that.
Yeah, the Vikings are good. They definitely are.
Yes, you did get rocked, buddy. You did get rocked. Are you driving home listening to us? That's what he seems to do often or not, drive home. No, I'm at work right now. Okay, cool.
That means he has his finger on the front page button, right?
Cool, and I just got a confirmation from Derek saying he will be ready. So Derek Lofland coming in, 6:45, Talk Fantasy Football. It's going to be a lot of fun. Coming on Blab, going to be on camera. We've been rocking it out, dude, every single day this week. Tomorrow we got Josh Pavnil from Philly Magazine talking Eagles football. Thursday, we got Darryl Ledbetter from the Atlanta Constitutional out there in Atlanta talking Falcons football. And on Friday, from the Denver Post, Cameron Wolf talking Denver football, all coming on Blab, Furkan. How about that, baby? We're rocking it here for you.
Yes, we are.
Gotta love that, don't you? Yesterday, we had Greg Bell talking Seahawks football. We're rocking it here for you. In fact, you know something, Furkan? Don't leave. I want to show you something. I'm going to put in a cool GIF
so we're
going to
be talking.
He's going to love
to
that,
answer
right?
Brett's question. Topics for the day are obviously going to range NFL, NBA, NHL, mostly NFL to begin with. Of course, we got the fantasy segment with Derek Lofland. And after that segment, we'll probably switch over to NBA, which I believe Morgan Ingram should be joining us for that.
Yeah. Should be popping in today, huh? All right.
So
he should pop in today. It's Tuesday. It's NBA day in the second half of the show.
Yeah.
Right?
NBA and the second half of the show once the interview is concluded with Mr. Lofland.
Here you go, Furkan. That was who was on the show yesterday, buddy. You like that, GIF? That's who was on the show yesterday.
Okay, so shall we jump into it?
Let's go, brother. Right. I'm ready.
I'm not going to start with last night's game only because it was pathetic, so we can hold off on that for a minute. There are more pressing matters going on right now in the NFL to speak about.
You think?
Starting out with the latest breaking news, Aldon Smith is facing a 1-year suspension from the NFL for his participation in an accident that occurred back in August. He was charged with hit and run, DUI, and vandalism. It is now being said that the NFL is looking to suspend him for a year for those infractions. This is a history here. I mean, Aldon Smith played with the 49ers and didn't much keep himself, or should I say his nose clean for the most part. And that's kind of why, he probably didn't stay with the 49ers for very much longer. So he winds up with that notoriously evil known team as the Raiders, right? And he goes on and he does the same thing. I mean, some people you just can't. I mean, some habits just don't.
Unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
All this money. I mean, didn't he get arrested once for mentioning bomb in an airport?
Yes. Hey, Chris. Welcome to Sports World Radio. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Seriously, I think his abuse, his substance, alcohol, whatever it is, has really done some damage to themselves up there, because this guy is way out of bounds.
Way out.
He is long gone, man.
Yeah,
and
way out of
what
it.
that does now is, it takes and it puts a dent in that Oakland defense. A little bit of a dent.
See, we start talking Oakland Raiders football and Furcon leaves. What's up with that?
That's because he doesn't want to engage in the conversation.
What's up with that?
That's a typical Raiders fan. They run.
They come in, yappity, 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 and then they hightail it out when it's time to talk about their team. What's up with that?
Yeah, Oakland had to have anticipated that there would be an eventual suspension, especially given that this was Smith's third arrest for DUI. Third.
Third arrest for DUI.
How you guys doing?
Chris.
Chris, how's it going?
It's going
Good.
awesome, man. Just want to come in and see y'all show.
Right on. We appreciate that.
Well, hey, we do this every day, Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock on the east,
excellent,
3 o'clock
man.
on the west.
I'm in
Where
Dallas.
do you live?
I'm in Dallas.
Where do
Texas.
you live?
Dallas.
So
Texas.
you're in the central. You're in the
Yeah,
central
that's
zone, right? That's right. Figure it out for yourself what
There you
time
go.
it is over there.
Yeah. So
That's
where
how
are
we
you
do it
out of?
over here. I'm in San Diego.
Okay,
He's in
very
Florida.
good. Awesome.
Yep,
What
yep,
kind of
yep.
sports
yep.
y'all talk? What
I've
is
been
y'all's
doing
main
this-
focus?
We talk NFL, we talk NBA, we talk MLB, we talk hockey. In fact, we got a fantasy football guy coming on at 6:45 today to talk
There you
fantasy
go.
football.
Awesome.
with us.
So y'all are you cover all of
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, we cover everything. Yeah, I've been doing Sports World Radio for
nice.
10 years.
Very
We don't
nice.
do Salmonex sports like golf or NASCAR and things like that. But
we'll talk golf because I'm a golf instructor, so we'll talk golf a little bit when it's time to talk golf.
no,
Basically,
he'll
just
talk
the
golf
four
when the
majors.
time comes.
That's it.
Well, you can. Okay, so there's a lot of different
Right.
people that consider the four majors, especially if you talk to soccer fanatics.
Yeah.
Give me your four majors. No,
What,
your
in
four
golf?
majors
In sports.
of sports.
Baseball.
NFL's got to be one.
Baseball.
What's number
World's-
one? I want the order.
well,
I'd like to hear the order.
Oh, the order?
Oh,
Yeah.
for me, the order for me, it goes basketball, baseball, football, golf.
Wow,
hockey.
football is 3. That's a rarity. Usually
Yeah.
football's number one
Yeah,
with
for
most
me,
people.
yes. Not for me. Actually, if you really want to know the truth, it goes NBA, college basketball, baseball, football.
That is shocking.
hockey.
Elliot, how about you?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stray from the norm. Football is
Yeah.
number one,
Yeah.
only because I also run a fantasy league and have other involvement in fantasy football as well. I'd say number 2 would probably be NBA.
Okay.
Number 3, baseball. Number 4, that'd probably be. Wow, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
That's a
Four's
real tough one.
We got to. Don't forget, Elliot. We got Ron Gallo, our hockey guru.
Yeah,
coming on
I would
tomorrow.
put hockey in the 5th
forget
spot
about
because that's the least sport that I get
All
in.
right,
I would say college basketball would be number 4 because I do watch it when the season is on.
All right, I'll go mine. It's got to be NFL. It rules.
Okay.
It rules sports. NFL's 1, and then I go college football
Okay.
is 2, and I go 3 is spring football.
Okay.
I'm from Texas. Spring football, recruiting, and
Spring
then
Texas?
4 maybe March Madness. I wouldn't even consider college basketball relevant until March Madness.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
those
there
are
you
my
go.
4.
Right. Okay. So your buddy Matheson says NFL, NCAA football, MLB, NBA,
That's
NCAA
about right.
basketball.
NFL is always number 1.
Hey, Brittany, how you doing?
Yeah, Paul's a pretty spread out guy when it comes to sports. Matter of fact, I think he actually was offered a job with ESPN one time. Yeah,
Really?
he just didn't like the schedule.
Really?
I was at
Wow.
Fox
Hey, don't-
Sports for 15 years
Were you?
in
Oh,
Dallas.
really?
Yeah,
Right
so
on.
I covered the Cowboys when they actually won Super Bowls. I flew with the team, and it was awesome. It covered Aikman, Emmett, the triplets, and then I had to.
So
when they actually
good.
won Super Bowls, I got a 10-year-old says the Cowboys suck, Dad. And I said, yeah, but you didn't follow them when I did. But yeah, it was great. I mean, I love being a sportscaster, so that's why I wanted to jump into y'all's show. Okay,
I'm glad you did. Let me ask you a question. Since I know you've been following Dallas for a long time, we here at Sports World Radio, and Elliot's about to die over this. We here at Sports World Radio are not fond of one Skip Bayless.
Yep.
Okay. We do a lot of bashing of Skip Bayless here on Sports World Radio. Really quick, coming up at 6:45 today, Derek Lofland talking fantasy football for all you fantasy people. Hang tight for that. That's coming soon. Skip Bayless said that Tony Romo is a better quarterback, and I'm going to read off all these names. By the way,
now 25 since I've talked about NFL. Keep going.
I'm going to read off all these names, and when I'm done, I want your opinion on that. Okay. Skip Bayless says Tony Romo is a better quarterback than Bart Starr, Randall Cunningham, Troy Aikman, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Donovan McNabb.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little crazy.
On. Rich Gannon, Bob Greasy, Dan Fouts, Jim McMahon, John Elway, Roger Staubach, Warren Moon, Steve Young, Drew Bledsoe, Brett Favre, Fran Tarkington, Boomer Esiason.
He's probably
Aaron
better
Rodgers.
than about 4 of those. So Skip is great, and I know Skip. I was in the locker room with him a few times. I was younger. He was older before he left ESPN. But Skip's great. You got to give him his due, man. He knows how to market himself. What Skip is great at, and give him his credit, people that bash him, he follows exactly the model of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And why I call them America's team is
correct.
They are relevant to everybody because people love them or hate them.
Okay, yep.
Nobody's an in-between Skip Bayless fan. Nobody's an in-between Dallas Cowboy fan. You got to hate them or love them. And if you're not relevant like that, you're not a great sports marketer or a great sports team and know how to do what you're doing. So Skip is fantastic at that. That is ridiculous what he's talking about, and he knows it is. He's just stirring the pot.
Yeah.
Tony Romo has won 1 playoff game, and you could say, yeah, he is great. And I will say this. I will say one thing. My NFL MVP this year, you ready? Is Tony Romo.
Uh-huh.
There has been Why? There has been no one more important to their team than Tony Romo. The MVP.
Well, if you take Tom Brady away from the Patriots, they're not doing what they're doing.
That's a good point, too, because he's undefeated.
And he's actually playing.
That's true. But I say an MVP is most valuable player. The most valuable player this year has been Tony Romo because without him, the Cowboys have been awful.
I think we should modify that to the most valuable missing player this year.
Yeah.
Because with him coming back, listen, there's no way they're making the playoffs.
All these Cowboy fans are just delusional. They think
and Skip is leading the charge.
They think he's going to go undefeated. Tony Romo's never gone undefeated. As a matter of fact, the last time a 2-6 team made the playoffs since 1990, 0.
Mm-hmm.
There have been 95 teams to go 2-6. Not one has made the playoffs. Your Dallas Cowboys, folks, are not making the playoffs. They've got a closer chance being the number 1 draft pick in the NFL.
Correct. How about Detroit going into Green Bay and beating them for the first time in 24 years?
They were due, man. When you're a division rival, I'm surprised it's taking so long.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
I mean, usually a division rival will win one of them. That long of a streak?
Correct. 24 years. Unbelievable.
Look at your viewers, guys. They're growing, man.
Hey, that's because we got Derek Lofland coming in. You got to love that. People, hey, doesn't matter the same. Hey, we do.
Man,
that's right. It could be one
don't kill my ego, man. I was really thinking, man, this is all about me right now.
We're probably on the front page. That's why.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, don't forget we show each and every on the front page.
Yeah, Furkan came in earlier, and I told him what was happening on the show, and I asked him to put us on the front page. So that's what he probably did.
I did like y'all's top.
Thank you, Furkan. We appreciate it,
by
buddy.
the way. Yeah, I
did. You? Well, see, I'm a really huge basketball freak. In fact, I'll tell you something. ESPN was having their tip-off marathon.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't gotten any sleep. I've been watching basketball all day. That's how much I like basketball.
The reason those sports, baseball and stuff, 162 games, I think is too long. I think if they trim that down and add more playoff teams, I think it'd be more exciting. And the fact that they play 162 games and have that one game playoff is idiotic. Major League Baseball.
I'm not a fan.
They need to straighten that out.
I'm not a fan.
They need to fix that.
And really, it's the play-in game. You don't really make the playoffs unless you win the play-in game. Then you
play 162 meaningless games, and when it comes to playoffs, you play one game, and then the divisional playoffs is 3 out of 5. Really, should be 4 out of 7.
Right. Correct. See, NBA got it right when they changed the finals to 2-2-1-1-1. This 2-3-2 crap is terrible.
That killed the Dallas Mavericks against the Miami Heat. Dallas was up 2-0. Then Miami won 3 straight and it was over.
Yes. I don't like the 2-3-2 format. I like the 2-2-1-1-1 format. That's the old school format. Keep it like that. Oh, we don't want to travel back and forth. It's too much.
You make enough money. You can travel an extra day.
Stop whining. And you're not like you're flying on commercial planes either.
Oh, yeah. I've flown on their planes before. It's
quit your whining.
So I'll tell you a quick story. When I flew with the Dallas Cowboys going to some regular season games, it was one of my first trips as a rookie reporter. And I get on the plane and I buckle up. And everyone's like, why are you buckling up? I'm like, well, we're on a plane. Like, no, man. They're throwing the football around. The jet's taking off. And they bring the food back and they say, do you want filet mignon or do you want the lobster? I'm like, this is the way to travel.
Wow.
This is beautiful. Yeah. Wow. And nobody,
See?
And everybody could stand up. They were talking. That was the way to travel right there.
See what I'm saying? And the NBA is worried about, they're flying and traveling too much. Quit your bitching.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Well, gentlemen, I'll let someone take the seat. I was an honor to come on the show. I'll come on again and tell more war stories.
Chris, we appreciate it.
You're welcome anytime, Chris. Thank you,
my friend.
Thank you so much. I'm following you right now, Chris. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys. I'll come on again. Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Coming up at 6:45, Fantasy Football Talk with FantasyFootballManiac.com, Derek Lofland. So get your fantasy football questions ready for Derek, man. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, that was an unexpected treat having Chris in the room, huh?
Hey, things happen. We just go with the flow here at Sports World Radio.
We will stop the show in the middle just to accommodate a viewer that has something to say.
That's right. Something good to say too.
Okay, let's go ahead and before the first update comes, which will be soon. Let's go ahead and get through some of these other NFL news stories. It's official.
Bring it, brother.
The Cleveland Browns have named Johnny Manziel their starting quarterback for the rest of the 2015 season.
Yeah, I bet you Morgan loves that, doesn't he? I bet you Morgan just loves that, doesn't he?
Jonathan will finally get his chance to earn the name Johnny, as he will complete and round out Cleveland's schedule for the season. In Dallas, a coin flip was lost by Brandon Weeden as he got released today.
Did he really? We talked about that yesterday, didn't we? They got off the Weeden, didn't they?
I think they did a coin flip and Weeden lost. So
and so Castle's getting paid more, and they kept him and got rid of the weed.
Probably more experience.
No more weed for Dallas, Brett says. You're absolutely right. Wow. See, we talked about that yesterday because we knew it was coming.
I mean, it was just a matter of which of the lesser of two evils. Which was the lesser of two evils? Keeping Weeden or keeping Matt Castle? The Cowboys decided that they wanted to get off the Weeden, and
you know what's going to happen, right? Romo's going to play Sunday. He's going to get hurt. Castle's going in, and guess who's going to come back in to play for
You might want to
Cowboy.
You might want to put a suicide watch out for Skip Bayless if Romo gets hurt again.
That's what's going to happen. Sue is going to sit on him or crush him, and that's going to be the end of that deal right there. I'm just telling you right now. They shouldn't have gotten rid of weed and too fast.
Okay, the Texans are hopeful that Brian Hoyer will be able to play this Sunday. Hoyer suffered a concussion and is currently in concussion protocol. In last night's game, which we will be discussing here shortly, Hoyer, TJ Yates did a fine job last night.
How the hell does a backup like TJ Yates come in and win a freaking game against Cincinnati? What? I'm telling you, that was the worst week I had in picking games in the NFL in years.
God, it was bad.
That was one of the toughest weeks I've ever seen in my life.
4-10 is what he went.
4-10. 4-10 I went. I lost my double-digit
lead. That's right,
lead.
Paul. Any given Sunday, as you and I very well know.
Wow.
Anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Hey, don't forget coming up at 6:45. Derek Lofland from Fantasy Football Maniacs coming in.
Only thing is, this was on a Monday.
Oh, unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Yeah,
it does help. You know who really killed him last night and almost killed me in my fantasy league? Tyler Eifert. He dropped like 3 passes that were right there.
Driving me batty, man.
Killed drives.
How the hell
killed drives left and right.
How do you lose 10 freaking games, man? Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty.
14 games.
Not
14
only that,
games a weekend.
Not only that, but how do you finish 2 games behind a 10-year-old?
Don't ask me, man. It's a good thing I'm not playing in the league you guys are in. Good thing I'm still in first place in my league. I lose 10 games and I still am in first place. How about that? How about that?
Okay, and then let's go ahead and get into the game from last night. But before we do that, one quick story. The New York Giants have re-signed Hakeem Nicks.
I told you it was coming. You know why? Because Victor Cruz is done.
Victor Cruz is having calf surgery and is on the IR, out for the rest of the season.
Right.
So they're bringing back Hakeem Nicks.
Correct.
What do you think about that?
Well, they got to have somebody on the other side of freaking. Why did it take so long to get that son of a bitch back? Why did it take so long?
But wait a second. Have you seen how he's played in recent years?
Yeah, but who cares?
The Giants?
He's familiar. He's familiar with the Giants. Well, he's familiar with Eli. That's a big deal.
I heard him and Eli weren't kind of on the same page, though.
Well, they better get on the same page because they need a wide receiver on the other side of Beckham. Because
I've seen stories I've read stories where they don't seem to really get along all that well.
Well, don't you think they talk to Eli?
What about?
Don't you think they talk to Eli about him? If they know that there's a problem between him and Eli, don't you think they talk to Eli?
They didn't fix it the last time. I don't know if they're going to be able to fix it this time.
I bet you they talked to Eli and said, "Hey, come on, we need somebody else.
Look,
put your
Eli's gonna do
crap on the side."
Eli's gonna do what Eli wants to do because Eli runs that organization now, not anybody else. What are they gonna do? Get rid of him?
Well, that's why I'm saying, don't you think they talk to Eli?
Yeah, they're gonna talk to Eli, and Eli's gonna say, "Look, as long as he behaves himself, I got no problem with him."
Correct. Hey, Grant.
Grant, welcome.
Correct.
How are you, sir?
Hey,
welcome
Mitch.
to the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sports World Radio. Thank you for coming on in and listening to us. We appreciate it.
Okay.
I'm almost positive they asked him or talked to him.
Well, I'm sure they have. I mean, they got to try to iron out whatever differences are going on between these two guys because, the Giants right now, as far as the wide receiver corps is concerned, is a little bit in dire straits. If they lose one more receiver, they're going to be in deep, deep trouble.
They're in deep trouble anyway. That's why they brought in Hakeem Nicks.
Well, honestly, I wouldn't say they're in deep trouble, but they would definitely be in deeper trouble if that was to happen.
They're in deep crap. They are. Come on. They are. Trust me. I know. I pay attention. They're not looking good in the receiving area. Why do you think they brought him in?
So let's talk about last night's game. Yeah, we
have
actually
to?
do.
Oh, God. You better hurry up.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hey, Inky. What's up, girl? How you doing?
Hey, Grant. How you
Grant,
doing?
what's going on, my friend?
Grant saying hello
Long
to you
time.
too. All right. So game last night. What the hell is going on with freaking Andy Dalton? I thought I was watching a playoff game for Jiminy Cricket's sakes. What in the wild world of sports is that all about?
Hey, do me a favor.
I thought I was watching him play in a playoff game.
Do me a favor, Jeff.
Huh?
Can you open the room for Paul? Paul, just hit call in the box.
Yeah, you bet. I thought I was watching Andy Dalton playing a playoff game last night. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Hey, Paul, how you doing?
What's up, guys? How's everything going?
What's up, Paul?
Good, buddy. How are you?
My man.
Yeah. I'm not in any time zone. I'm in another island, so it's all good.
Yeah, he's asking, where are you at right now? Curacao?
See, he came in right
Curacao,
away.
yeah. I'm in Curacao.
He's in Curacao.
Okay, what time is it over there right now?
I'm an hour ahead of Eastern time zone, so it's actually.
Hey, is that a Pittsburgh Steelers shirt you have on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Bring the camera up so I don't have to look at that garbage, please.
That's.
Although I was forced to watch the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game on Sunday because it was the only game I got in the morning in San Diego. Can you believe that?
That's great. That's great news. So you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you loved it.
The rest of the league's gonna have to deal with all year, right?
Yeah, and then they put their backup in, and their backup came in and kicked ass.
Yeah.
But you guys,
it's nice to have a backup like Ben Roethlisberger, though.
It's only the.
Yes, it is.
So it's not too bad.
So what do you think of our layout here, Paul?
Yes, it is.
Very dope. Very dope. I like what you guys got going on. Looks good.
Thank you. Derek Lofland is in the house somewhere.
Is.
He's in the house somewhere. He's coming on to talk fantasy football right after we go to right on the other side of our update, which we'll be going to in about 5 minutes.
5 minutes from now. So what's up, Paul?
Nothing here. Listening to you guys. You guys are getting ready to discuss last night's game, which was dismal.
Talk to us about that.
It was a bad game. It was a bad game. The red rifle, in the words of J.J. Watt, did look like a red BB gun. So just quoting the man here. But all in all, Eifert didn't help him out. A couple of his throws were a little bad, but Texans came out and played, which everyone thought they would be that good. So looks like they just need a few more pieces.
That's funny.
In your opinion, does this particular loss in this fashion to that particular team kind of show that maybe the Bengals aren't that 8-0 team that they started out to be? Because they also got to face Arizona this coming Sunday in Arizona.
I think the Arizona game is going to be more telling than the Houston game. I think Houston time to get ready for the game. So did Cincy. I just think it was just a bad showing for Cincy all around. I think they kind of slept on the Texans. They're like, oh, it's the Texans. It doesn't fuck. I'm saying. I was just going to ask you if you think they overlooked the Texans completely because they know they're facing Arizona. Completely. And I mean, the whole city of Cincinnati is on a high right now. They've never been this good.
Not anymore.
Exactly. So I mean, it's a reality check. Did anyone really expect them to go 16-0? No. So, I mean, don't be surprised that they lost. They were. No, we didn't.
No, I'm not surprised they lost. I'm just surprised they lost to Houston.
Yeah, agreed. I expected them to lose to Pittsburgh later on this year at the end of the year, but that's normal. No, I expect them to beat Pittsburgh. I expect them to lose to Arizona next week. That's what I expected. I expect them to destroy Pittsburgh. I don't know about destroy, but it'll be competitive. As far as Arizona's good.
Okay. You know what? Even if they beat them by 1 point, I'm happy.
I'll take that. Who as long as they beat them. The Chargers?
Yeah.
Are you?
No, I'm a Giant. I'm a Giants guy.
Okay, all right. So.
Yeah, I'm a Giant. I'm an ex-New Yorker living in San Diego.
Very nice. You made the right move.
So yeah, I've been here since '86. I love it out here.
Nice.
But I root for the Chargers too because I live 20 minutes away from the stadium.
Awesome.
So, but both teams stink right now. What are you gonna do?
So much you can.
But as a fan and as a broadcaster, as a sports broadcaster who's been doing the show for 10 years, I can admit that. Unlike some other people we know that'll be renamed nameless, Skip Bayless.
Yeah, remain nameless, right? Okay.
Skip just wants to.
Did I say his name?
That's what he does.
Oops.
Skip just wants to get ratings, draw attention.
And what drives me crazy the most is he puts the word "my" in front of every damn team or every damn player, and it drives me nuts.
Especially when it does it
I can't
for both sides in the same sentence.
Correct. When he says, my Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat up on my New York Giants. What? How does that make any sense? Right. Hey, I got an idea. Get off the perforated fence so you can fix the holes in your ass.
Oh, shit.
Hey, hey, Paul, we're gonna let you go because we're gonna run to our update, and then we're gonna bring Greg Lofland in and talk some fantasy.
Get your questions ready.
All right, get your questions ready. All right, Paul, thank you so much for coming in.
Appreciate the time.
Hey, Paul, thanks, man.
All right.
Good looking out, man.
There we go. There goes Paul. All right, let's run to our first update of the day. On the other side of this update, we're going to have Greg Lofland coming in from fantasyfootballmaniacs.com talking fantasy football. So get your fantasy football questions ready. He'll answer them all, I hope. We don't know how much time he's going to spend, but we hope it's enough to answer all your questions. Let's run to our first update of the day. This update is brought to you by the Flipper. Head on over to flipperflipper.com and get your Flipper today and never, ever touch your toilet seat ever again with your hand. It's the Flipper, and it's at flipperflipper.com. Take it away, Elliot, with the first update of the day.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Boys and girls, it is now 40 minutes past the 6 o'clock hour on this Tuesday, November 17th, 2015. For Sports World Radio, I am the co-host, Elliot Biggie Lumba, bringing you the first SWR update of the day. In NFL news last night in Cincinnati, TJ Yates took over after Brian Hoyer sustained a concussion on Monday night and rallied the Houston Texans to a 10-6 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, handing them their first loss. The Bengals, 8-1, were trying to give the NFL its first trio of 9-0 teams, joining New England and Carolina. A backup quarterback with a history of beating them did it again. It was appropriate that the first loss came against the Texans, 4-5, who made Andy Dalton look very bad during first-round playoff victories of the Bengals during the 2011 and 2012 seasons. Yates was behind that first one. Yates, who returned to the Texans on October 28th, took over in the third quarter and threw a 22-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins. Dalton had another tough time against the Texans defense. Cincinnati's final chance slipped away when A.J. Green fumbled after a catch with 40 seconds left in the game. In the NBA last night in Philadelphia, Dirk Nowitzki scored 21 points, including 7 during a pivotal stretch late in the fourth quarter to lead Dallas to a 92-86 victory over the winless 76ers. In Chicago, Jimmy Butler scored 17 points and played tough defense on Paul George on Indiana's final possession, helping the Bulls hold on for a 96-95 victory over the Pacers. In Houston, Isaiah Thomas scored 23 points, and the Celtics used a 32-point third quarter to pull away and cruise to a 111-95 victory over the slumping Rockets. In Memphis, Mario Chalmers scored 16 of his 29 points in the fourth quarter as the Memphis Grizzlies held on for a 122-114 victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder. In San Antonio, Manu Ginobili scored 14 of his 17 points in the final quarter to help the San Antonio Spurs overcome a listless start and beat the Portland Trailblazers with 93-80 on Monday. In Phoenix, Brandon Knight secured his first career triple-double in fitting fashion Monday at corralling a long rebound well beyond the three-point line and under 5 minutes to go. It was just one more thing that went perfectly for the Phoenix Suns, who used a late 21-8 run to run away with a 120-101 victory over the Lakers. And in the NHL last night in New York, John Tavares had 2 goals and an assist. Franz Nielsen and Brock Nelson each had a goal and an assist. And Kyle Okposo had 3 assists to help the Islanders to a 5-2 win against the Arizona Coyotes. In Carolina, Carl Hagelin had a goal and 2 assists, and Anton Khudobin made 24 saves to lift the Anaheim Ducks to a 4-1 win against the Carolina Hurricanes at PNC Arena. In Montreal, David Desjarnais scored .325 in overtime, and the Montreal Canadiens overcame a 3-goal deficit for a 4-3 win over the Canucks at Bell Center. In Ottawa, the Detroit Red Wings found some needed offense in a 4-3 overtime win against the Ottawa Senators at Canadian Tire Center. In Sunrise, Florida defenseman Aaron Ekblad scored with 20.2 seconds remaining in the third period, and Robert Luongo made 39 saves to help the Panthers, who are now 8-7-3, sweep the home and home series with a 1-0 victory at BB&T Center. On Saturday, the Panthers won the first of the home and home series games 5-4 in a shootout at the Amalie Center in Tampa. And finally, in St. Louis, David Backes had 2 goals and an assist to help the St. Louis Blues to a 3-2 victory against the struggling Winnipeg Jets at the Scottrade Center. Ladies and gentlemen, this update was brought to you by the Flipper. Now, just imagine, folks, never having to touch your toilet seat with either of your hands ever again. Well, that's exactly what you'll have when you get your hands on the Flipper. For more information on this must-own sanitary device and to get one of your own, visit flipper.com. Once again, that's flipper.com. Again, I am your co-host, Elliot Biggie Lumb, on the show that delivers real sports talk for real sports fans. That is sportsworldradio.com. That does it for this first update of the day. Joining Jeff and I next will be Derek Lofland, senior writer for Football Fantasy Football Maniacs, that's with an X.com, here to talk some fantasy football. Now let's get back over to you, Jeff, for more of Sports World Radio.
All right, welcome back to Sports World Radio. We do this each and every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. on the East, 3 p.m. on the West. If you live anywhere else, figure it out for yourself. Joining us right now, Derek Lofland from fantasyfootballmaniacs.com, talking fantasy
doing
football.
Good. How you guys
Derek,
doing?
how you doing, buddy?
Good, Derek. Nice to meet you.
Doing great, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
us.
Great to be here.
We really appreciate your time and spending some time here with Sports World Radio. How about this new platform
I like this.
we're on? I'm glad you
this
like
is really
this, huh?
nice.
Yeah, this is definitely different. And just to let you know, we have the owners in here hanging out with us.
I think the last time I was with you guys,
well.
I just did it on the iPhone and called in. I love this format.
Correct. Yes, we're gonna have you back as much as you want to come back, because our co-host right here is a fantasy
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay,
No,
when it comes to fantasy football, and I am going to turn the interview over to him, because he's the man when it comes to fantasy football. I brought you on for him. So, Elliot,
Derek,
take it away.
pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
How long have you been writing for Fantasy Football Maniacs?
I started writing for them back in 2007, and I bought the site from the old owner back in 2012.
So you own the site?
I own the site. I'm a 50% owner with my business partner, Nicholas Lord.
Well, that's fabulous, fabulous. So I guess one of the first questions I would want to ask is, obviously you play fantasy football, right?
Occasionally. I've dabbled into a few leagues in my time.
So the question there would be, since you do play, is there certain sites that you play on? Do you play in leagues that are on custom sites? What's your preference?
Well, I dabble both in the daily fantasy leagues. With Fantasy Pros, I play in a FanDuel league that we do there. And then as far as regular standard leagues, I got some friends that I've been playing with in a league for a number of years. And then we do some leagues with the website and stuff like that. So I started playing in less leagues, actually, the more I've been writing, because as you try to maintain a site and do all the rankings, you just eventually lose the time to be able to play in the 20 leagues like I used to before I had commitments.
That sounds like me. I used to play in about 15 to 20 a year, and then I had to stop. It was just too much. I became a commissioner of a league, and I've got that league set up in a way that it takes up a little bit of my time.
Yeah.
So, it can, and especially when you're commissioning a league, it's crazy. It's a money league too, so I've got my work cut out for me there.
Oh, that's the only way to play. I mean, it's like playing poker without money. It's not.
It's like playing poker with pennies and stuff. Yeah. Now, in the regular fantasy arena, which do you prefer, standard scoring or PPR?
I enjoy standard, and the reason I kind of soured on PPR is Danny Amendola playing for the Rams with 85 catches that year, 700 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That shouldn't be a viable fantasy receiver, in my opinion. Yet in PPR, he was like one of the top 10, 15 guys that year, and it just annoyed me. So I like either the standard or the half PPR. I don't like guys with 1 or 2 touchdown catches dominating the scene.
Cool. Hey, Jeff, real quick before my next question, can you update the folks on how to go ahead and pop their questions in so they come live?
Sure. Everybody, if you guys want to ask questions, all you got to do is put // question and then ask your question, and we'll get them answered. We'll pop them on the screen. If you guys have any questions at all for Derek, we'll pop them on the screen and we'll get Derek to answer them as much as he can or as long as he can stay. I have no idea how long he wants to stay, so we got him as long as we got him. So
I'm not in a hurry to go anywhere. We got some time.
Okay, great. Awesome.
There you go.
We appreciate that.
There you go. All right, Derek Lofland joining us from FootballFantasyManiacs.com, talking fantasy football here on Sports World Radio.
Okay, next question. To date, who is your current fantasy MVP and why?
Well, it depends. Adrian Peterson definitely has to be at the top of the list. He's about on the same pace as he was in his record-setting season back in 2012, I believe that was. But Devontae Freeman, that was a guy that just came out of nowhere, where there was a lot of value for where he got picked. So I would say those 2 guys would be up there, and also Todd Gurley from the Rams. Didn't play the first couple of games, but he was going a lot in the 5th and 6th round, and that's been a great value as well.
Okay. Real good.
Hey, you know what,
sure.
Elliot? We have a question in the room that the Apparition put it on wrong,
sure.
so I'll just ask Derek the question. Chief defense stock, has it gone up since last week? Where would you place it in the rankings?
I think they're definitely a defense one, especially because they're playing San Diego this week, and San Diego has a lot of injuries to some skill position players, with Keenan Allen being out for the year. But on the other hand, I mean, Peyton Manning, who doesn't stop Peyton Manning nowadays? I mean, he's had a rough year with 17 picks. Definitely looks like he stayed around for a year too long. So I don't think they're going to have, the shutout they had with the picks and be as dominant as they were last week. But they're definitely a good fantasy defense. Their secondary is playing a lot better than it was earlier in the season.
Okay. You got another question in the room there, Jeff?
Yeah, we have one from Smurf, which is our good friend Brett, who's a Kansas City guy. Seeing the Vikings' remaining schedule, is it probable Adrian Peterson will score many points?
You don't dump Adrian Peterson. I mean, you definitely don't dump him. Now, if somebody wants to trade give away the farm to acquire him, I guess you could entertain offers. But that's a guy coming off a 200-yard game out in Oakland. I would not be looking to deal him unless the offer was just absolutely too good to turn down. I don't even know what that would be.
Probably 2 solid number ones, right?
I think so. Maybe if someone wants to give you Julio Jones and Todd Gurley, maybe you entertain that.
And a 2-on-1, sure, I'll entertain that all day long.
yeah, that might be worth my while. So.
Sure, you would.
Okay, so you did say that you play daily fantasy, right?
Yes, I definitely play that every week for the fantasy. Okay.
And we see what the uproar has been in certain cities so far about them wanting to shut that down. What's your position on that?
I love daily fantasy. It's fun. I think it took off so fast, and the regulations really were in place with it. But I think it's something that I don't think they need to shut down the whole thing. And I think there's too many big investors. NBC has money in it. Comcast has money in it. Jerry Jones and Bob Kraft have money in it. I think you're going to see some regulations and that are going to help improve it. But it's fun. I recommend to anybody that wants to play in it. I don't think there's any problems that can't be fixed there. Okay.
What strategies or methods do you use when setting your weekly lineups?
I'll try to score the most points I can. that's the strategy. There's 2 ways that you can play it. There's always the theory of I want to go with the guy who's just the best player, or I want to go with the guy that's got the best matchup. I tend to be a little bit more of a matchup guy. Sean Haw, who does our chat, tends to be more of play the best player, and there's no right or wrong to it. It's just kind of a feel that you get for it. But those are definitely the two things I'm looking at.
Okay. Fair enough. Some guys in my league, as a matter of fact, Paul is one of them. He does it. I guess his strategy is attributed to trends. So whoever's trending, that's who he tends to lean with.
Oh, and I definitely do that too. And and that's where the matchups versus the players come in. Sometimes you can get yourself into trouble with that. And one place I got burned on it last week was Jeremy Langford. Had that great game against San Diego where they were giving up the most points to fantasy running backs, played the Rams, who had given up the second fewest, over the previous 5 weeks. And I'm like, no way Langford can duplicate that effort against a good defense. And that didn't go too well for me.
No. And now that you mentioned Langford, with him doing so well, what happens when Matt Forte comes back to fantasy owners of Langford?
That's the $1 million question, and I don't know if Forte, they're talking about that he's probable this week, so it's going to be interesting to see how the timeshare goes there. But I think he's definitely earned a bigger role where maybe he gets Carlos Williams type touches up in Buffalo. I don't think they can go back to giving him the ball 5 times a game with how well he's looked there. And the Bears are in rebuilding effort. I think they would value developing their younger players rather than if they were in a playoff push and maybe they were the Vikings at 7-2, maybe they would go with a more veteran guy.
If you're just joining us, we got Derek Lofland joining us here from fantasyfootballmaniacs.com talking fantasy football. You guys got any questions, put them in the chat room and we'll get them answered for you.
Have you ever seen a site or played on a site called myfantasyleague.com?
I've heard of it. I have not played on it though.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I have like I said, I commission a team on that site. It's actually the most customizable fantasy football site available. I mean, you can customize that thing from top to bottom to do so many different functions that it's incredible. I spent I think like 2 weeks just building the league and putting it all together, but it was well worth it. And in our league, like I said, we play for money, and I just wanted to just share this a little bit with everybody. We also have one of these that we play for.
That's the way to go.
And with this comes also a good chunk of cash.
That's good, because I mean you can't wear a belt like that out in public if you don't have some cash to go along with it.
Yeah, you got to have some bling for the bling, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so on the flip side, who are your fantasy busts this season?
Well, Eddie Lacy hasn't exactly worked out this year, has he?
What's going on with him?
He bench pressed more pizza boxes this offseason than he bench pressed any weights. Because there was rumors that he came in over 240 pounds. And when he was a senior at Alabama, he played at 225 pounds. And so the nice thing about him is I think he's going to be a very good rebound candidate for next year because he's going to be in a contract year, and I think he's probably a guy that's going to report in shape. But I think he came in overweight. He got hurt early in the season, which what happens when you're out of shape. And it's just looking like it's going to be a lost campaign for him.
Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, I've been saying it all week long, all last week. That guy's put on many extra pounds. That's why he is not.
That's what I'm starting to think too.
Just a quick second. I gotta kind of like put Paul back in his seat where he needs to be. Well, yeah. Here's the belt, Paul. But you know what? It ain't yours. It ain't gonna be yours. I'm just letting you know that now. You know who's coming for you. Anyway. Jesus. All right. Who are your fantasy surprise stars this year?
Devontae Freeman. Coleman had the starting job and looked like he was going to hold that for the entire season. He gets hurt and he has 10 rushing touchdowns already. It's just unbelievable with how badly they ran the ball last year and what the expectations were on him that he would come out and have a year like that.
Okay. I have a question, and it's referring to my roster, as a matter of fact. I want your opinion on something real quick.
Uh-oh.
Let me pull my roster up really fast.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, we have a question from Brett again. I can't even pronounce that name.
Sharkandrick West?
In the box there. Can
Yes.
you see that? Thank you. Sharkandrick West or Jeremy Langford?
This week I definitely think West is going to be, because they're playing San Diego, and you saw what Langford did against San Diego. You've seen what every running back has done against San Diego this year. For the rest of the year, I like West better just because Jamal Charles is hurt for the year, so it's West's starting job, where with Langford, you got Forte that's going to be coming back into the mix, and I think you're going to need Forte to either be ineffective coming back from the injury or to get hurt again in order for Langford to have the value that West does. But, as far as over the next couple of years, they're both going to be the future of their teams, as Charles and Forte are looking a little older at this point.
Right.
Okay. Now, looking at my roster, let me read off to you what I got. Blake Bortles, Melvin Gordon, Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, Darren McFadden, Latavius Murray. Receivers, Beckham, Brown, Antonio Brown, Pierre Garçon, Brandon Marshall, Rashard Matthews, and Cecil Shorts. Tight ends, Eifert, Gronkowski, kicker, McManus, and I have the Cardinals defense. Now, here's my dilemma this week.
Okay.
Week 11. Both Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham are out on a bye.
I have the same bye week blues that you have this week in a league. It's been nice this year, but not this week.
Yeah, this was definitely the week of gloom I was not looking forward to. But here's what I got left. I mean, I've got Garcon, Brandon Marshall, Rashard Matthews, and Cecil Shorts. Which two of those four do you start? Because I am starting 4 running backs.
Okay, well, you got to send. And who are the other 3?
Garcon, Rashard Matthews in Miami, and Cecil Shorts at Houston.
I think I would go with Rashard Matthews. He's been a very reliable wide receiver 3. Did not expect that at the beginning of the year. I thought Parker was going to get that job. A lot of people were hyping Kenny Stills and Greg Jennings, but he's pretty much settled into a reliable wide receiver 3. And I don't like Shorts that well playing with Hoyer. And with Deshaun Jackson back, I think it caps Garcon's upside a little bit.
Okay, now what if Hoyer... If Hoyer's not playing, does that increase Cecil Shorts' value? Because it seemed like TJ Yates was trying to get the Shorts more than anybody else.
The only thing I hate about that is you'll see every once in a while where that backup quarterback comes in. Look at Landry Jones the one week. I believe they're playing the Cardinals. They didn't game plan for him, and he blows up in the second half. And I think it's going to take a defensive coordinator about 10 minutes to study tape and figure out a scheme to slow Yates down. So I don't think he's going to look as good as he did against the Bengals in a very similar situation to what Landry had a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so basically you're saying Marshall and Matthews is a go for this week.
That's who I would go with, yes.
My friend over here, Paul, says the same thing. And so, I can't argue with that because you know what? That's what Fantasy Sports recommended. That's what a couple of other sites recommended.
That's the one feature I love on Fantasy Pros too, is where we have the widget on our site too, where you can type in the 2 players, the start sit. It'll give you the percentage of what experts tell you to play, which players you can customize it for PPR, half point PPR standard. It's one of the best tools that you'll find out there.
I was actually on your site yesterday, and I was toying around with the start sit and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I recommend you guys go to Fantasy Football Maniacs. That's Maniacs with an X, not a CS.com. Great site. Great information on fantasy football. If you're interested at all in fantasy football, or if you want to inspire your interest even more, go on to fantasyfootballmaniacs.com and get your swerve on there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. Okay. Here's a question that you might want to. I'm trying to direct this one and include Jeff in on this one. Okay.
All right.
How would you sell the game of fantasy football to those who play casually to become more passionate, or for those who have never played, and why they should consider starting?
I think you did it. That belt. The belt is the reason that you play. I mean, I'll just tell people how I got into it. I've always been a fan of the history of the game. And when I was in 6th and 7th grade, I read tons of books about, past Super Bowl teams and really got involved in learning the history of the game. My uncle was a huge influence on me learning it. And actually, my business partner, who was one of my best friends from high school, had to talk me into it, kicking and screaming to get into fantasy back in 2003. I didn't think I would enjoy it, even though I did like the stats, because I didn't understand it. And the thing I think that fantasy football does is it makes every game interesting. You can be watching a 28-7 blowout on Monday night, but your player is down by 3 points and he needs a catch, and you're sitting there just screaming at the TV, wanting the quarterback to get into it. And I think the people that think it ruins your love of the game, the complaint I always hear why they're scared to do it is, well, I'm a San Diego Charger fan, and the Chiefs are playing against them, and I got Jamal Charles going against me or going for me, and I don't want to have to root for him and have my fantasy football team win. But it just adds a whole new level of excitement to it and makes every game interesting. And that would be my biggest recommendation, is why to play it.
And I agree with that because, I wouldn't have I watched the entire game last night, but if I wasn't involved in fantasy football, there's no way I would have watched that game even from the beginning.
No, it was a 10-6 game. It was
interesting matchup.
No.
Well, I turned the game started here, at 5:30? At 7 o'clock, I changed the channel. I was done.
Yep, and if I had that AJ Green and Giovanni Bernard going in that game, needing him to do something, I'd have turned it off right with you.
See, my sister had AJ Green, Dalton, and what was it? Who's the tight end? Eifert?
Yeah, Tyler Eifert.
Eifert in the game, and she lost the game because they did nothing.
Yeah.
And it didn't help her that AJ Green fumbled at the end. That lost her a couple points too.
Exactly. But the reason why I don't play fantasy football is I just don't have the time. I got too much other stuff to do.
But the thing is, with sites like Fantasy Pros and with us out there, that's what I like about fantasy football compared to fantasy baseball. Fantasy baseball, it's 162 games. You got to set that lineup every day. With football, you draft in August on your smartphone. You set the lineup, and it takes 5-10 minutes worth of research to do, and you can set a lineup and enjoy the games on Sunday.
We got a question from Brett again. He asked, what would you tell someone playing fantasy football for the first time as advice?
I mean, the thing is, when I started in 2003, there weren't all these great sites that were out there to help you out. And the thing is, what I would recommend to anybody is just go online. There are so many good sites out there that give excellent strategy advice on how to do it. They'll rank players for you and just have fun with it. Because the thing is, even with the experts, everybody told you to draft Eddie Lacy as a top 5 pick. Nobody told you that Devontae Freeman was going to do it. So, as much stat research that goes on and as much as the experts all think that they know it, you can go in there and draft some players that people don't think do well, and you can dominate your league and write your trash talking lines down early in the season and use them all year, because that's the fun part about it, is the camaraderie with the other people in your league.
There you go, Brett. There you go,
okay.
Brett.
There's a question that I've always wanted to ask I never asked this question to anybody, actually, but it's a question I think is very relevant in fantasy football because it can be heartbreaking at times when this happens. Who are your most notorious coaches for ruining fantasy football?
I don't know. How long do you want to do the show tonight?
We got another hour, so go ahead.
Belichick would be one. Belichick, because of the situational football they play up there. You have a guy like LeGarrette Blount that'll have 140 yards and look at Jonas Gray last year. He had that huge game against the Colts, and he oversleeps his alarm, and he's never heard from again. The running back by committee that they have up there is just incredibly frustrating. Belichick would definitely be one. Andy Reid. There's no reason that a fantasy receiver should not be able to score a touchdown for an entire season in his offense. I've never seen anything like that. But it's definitely the guys that favor that committee, and you can't figure out where the committee is coming from. And Belichick is front and center of that.
You know who was really big at that too? Mike Shanahan.
Yes. That was another one. They
used to call him Shenanigans. Shanahanigans. There you go. They used to call it on the fantasy shows.
River, when he was with Washington, I think Evan Royster was going to be the starter. Halu was going to be the starter. And then all of a sudden, Alfred Morris came out of nowhere in the first game, and he's logging 20 carries. He's a notorious offender for that as well.
If you're just joining us, Derek Lofland's joining us here from Fantasy Football Maniacs, and that's with an X.com. I put the link in the chat room for you guys. Just go click the link and go check out his website.
Okay, so considering the performances he's had in the last couple games, do you think that Shakondrick West can do something to help Jamal Charles owners deal with his loss a lot better with his performance?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he seems to be a player that's on the rise. That first week, he didn't do well, but I believe Minnesota was the first game that he played after Charles got hurt, and that's a tough defense. And so I think a lot of people were kind of panicked that was going to be the new reality. But with games against San Diego and Oakland, he's got a decent schedule down the stretch. So I don't think he's going to be as good as Charles was, where he was a top 5 fantasy back regardless of matchup every week. But he's got some nice games where he's going to help ease the pain for fantasy owners that had Charles and now have to go with West.
Okay. Are you a Red Zone channel guy?
That's how I watch the NFL on Sunday. especially with writing for a fantasy site. I don't think I would be doing my readers justice if I just sat there and watched my favorite team and the national game and didn't watch Jacksonville and didn't watch Tennessee and some of the lesser known teams. So that's what I like about Red Zone Channel, is you're getting a little taste of everybody, and you have no commercials. So it's the best way to watch.
Cool.
People in your Red Zone.
Tell me a little bit about your team.
My team is the Green Bay Packers. I grew up in northern Wisconsin. I know I shouldn't have said it. I should have just pretended to be a Patriot fan. It's easier. They just win 12 games every year, and it doesn't matter. But I'm not going to complain. I mean, the Packers have had as much success as any team in the league going back to '92. But I grew up in northern Wisconsin, and the Packers are my favorite team. But that was heartbreaking to see them lose to Detroit at home for the first time since '91. It's been a rough week.
Eric, another question from Brett. Carson Palmer's stock for the rest of the year?
Before the Seattle game, I would have said down, just because they had played a lot of easy defenses at the beginning of the year. They had 2 games against Seattle at that point. There was still a game against St. Louis, and it looked like the schedule was going to be a little bit tougher than it was early in the year. But the way he played up in Seattle and leading those 2 late touchdown drives, he just looks like he's going to be a quarterback one to stay. And I really don't have the injury concerns about him that I had at the beginning of the year. He's been a huge surprise.
There you go, Brett. If you have any questions for Derek, please just put them in the chat room. We'll get them answered for you. Derek's nice enough to stay as long as he possibly can. Thank you so much, Derek, for doing that and spending time here with Sports World Radio.
For sure. It's been a blast. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
we love it.
Derek. Okay. I tend to watch some of the fantasy shows like on ESPN and NFL Network, just to get some insight and some so-called expert opinion. Which of those shows do you most put stock in? I mean, which of those shows do you think is better at prognosticating and stuff like that, the fantasy game?
I do like Fantasy Football Focus on ESPN. They have a very good show. The NFL Network one is pretty good, but I think the experts on the ESPN one are a little bit better. And and then we do our own webcast. It's called The Ghost Ship, and you can listen to that on Fantasy Football Maniacs. And although sometimes we're a little bad about throwing the fantasy nuggets in there and more about doing a satire look at the NFL news, but we definitely do throw some stats in there and get some projections. I'm a little biased. I gotta like my show. So,
Paul asks, should he attempt to move Devontae Freeman?
That's one of the most interesting questions, I think, for the second half of the season, because that Atlanta offense has averaged only about 16, 17 points a game the last 4 weeks. I'm really interested to see what the bye week does to reset their offense. Again, with moving players, it depends on what you're moving them for. I'm not going to go and trade Freeman for some backup running back, somewhere. But if somebody wants to give away the house, I think you have to entertain it because their offense definitely did slow the last 4 weeks.
Okay.
Hey,
really quick in the box there, Derek, I put my link in for the fantasyleague.com in case you ever want to take a look at that. Okay. And for anybody else who's in fantasy football, if you know of somebody that runs a league that you're in, or if you want to run a league of your own, check out myfantasyleague.com. The link is right there in the chat bar. Well, that does it for me, Jeff.
Okay, Derek, you mentioned that you were a Green Bay Packer fan. Aaron Rodgers has been having a couple of bad weeks. Has his stock gone down in fantasy?
He's still a quarterback one. One of the more interesting stats, I think, with them is the Packers have not beat a team with a winning record on the road since the Chicago Bears in 2012 when Lovie Smith was there. And the last team that they beat that was a playoff team on the road was that Houston Texans team back in 2012 when he had 6 touchdown passes on a Sunday night game. So this thing about them struggling on the road against good teams is not really that new. And even if you look at the last 2 weeks, even though he did have slow starts to the game, he was able to pick it up in catch-up mode. So, with Aaron Rodgers, he was the top fantasy quarterback coming into the year. He might not end up with that, but he's still going to be a top 5, top 7 guy, and I think he's safe to play no matter what. They're going to get this turned around.
Tom Brady is the top fantasy guy right now?
Yes. But the only thing is you got to wonder about him with Deion Lewis being out for the year and Edelman being out for the foreseeable future. But, as long as Gronk stays healthy, I think they can kind of plug in the pieces. Where I would get scared is if Gronk got hurt. We watched that over the last couple of years, too, where his production slowed when Gronk wasn't in there. That's the key to Brady being relevant.
Derek, I'd be kind of scared, too, if Gronk got hurt.
Yes.
Edelman is out until the playoffs at least, right?
That's what it sounds like because he had to have a surgery and depending on the timetable, it's going to be very, very late in the year. Definitely not going to be back to help people in fantasy playoffs because those usually start around week 14.
Since you brought up the Green Bay Packers, I have a fantasy question for this week.
Okay.
The game is in Minnesota. Should the Minnesota defense be played against the struggling Packers?
It depends on what your other option is. I think they're a low defense 1 to a high defense 2 because they are very tough against fantasy quarterbacks. But the problem with Aaron Rodgers is he's one of those guys that can shred the defense regardless of matchup. So if you have another good defense, I'm definitely not racing out there to play a defense against Aaron Rodgers.
And can Russell Wilson return back to his fantasy form of the last couple of years?
I was going to ask the same thing, Elliot.
Probably not. The offensive line is a disaster up there, and that's what's causing the problems. He's been sacked 33 times, and everybody thought that Jimmy Graham was going to solve all their problems. And that's one thing I've noticed about people that really like fantasy. When you're looking in the NFL draft or you're looking in the offseason, everybody wants to know what big receiver, running back, tight end, quarterback is going there. And it's that offensive line. The offensive line makes a difference, and you're seeing that up in Seattle. They valued the big target in Jimmy Graham, and they sacrificed the offensive line, and it's not having good consequences up there.
You know something? We had Greg Bell on from the News Tribune talking Seahawks football yesterday on our show, and he said the exact same thing. Their offensive line is nothing.
No, it's an absolute disaster. They're not averaging as much on the ground. I think they averaged 5.3 yards on the ground last year, and they're down to about 4.7 this year, which is still good. It's top 6, but when you have a mobile quarterback like Russell Wilson, you're going to tend to be a little higher in that category. Lynch hasn't been as good as he was last year, and I thought that was going to happen because he's 30 years old and he had back injuries. I never want to hear about my star running back having chronic back problems.
Okay, so Peyton Manning is out. Does his replacement get any fantasy thing going on or what?
Oh, for Brock Osweiler?
Yeah. Look at Elliot.
I'm not going to be that firm about it. This week, I don't think so. Even though the Bears' defense was bad at the beginning of the year, they have picked it up in the last few weeks. And I think with John Fox there, that's a guy that really knows Osweiler because he coached him for the last couple of years. So I wouldn't really be racing out there to play Osweiler this week. But as he develops, there might be some good matchups for him. The other thing is Emmanuel Sanders is banged up. And C.J. Anderson and Hillman haven't been running as well. And the line, same thing there. The line isn't as good as it was last year. So is he going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback? Is that going to solve all their problems? No, but in certain matchups, he's going to be playable and could have some big games.
Look, for most of y'all out there, Matthew Stafford is available, and he can put up some fantasy points.
And he's playing Oakland this week, and I think they're 26 against fantasy quarterbacks. That's a guy that I said should be a good start this week.
Okay, so
the defense is dinged up.
Right. So the San Diego Chargers pretty much stink, but Phillip Rivers is having an awesome year, right? How's his fantasy points and everything hanging out? A lot of
garbage time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and they can't run the football, and so he's throwing the ball 50, 60 times some games. So, yeah, I like him as a low quarterback one the rest of the way. Keenan Allen being out is definitely going to hurt him, but he still has Antonio Gates. He still has Stevie Johnson. Not the greatest play this week because the Chiefs have been better the last 5 weeks against fantasy quarterbacks, but you're never going to go wrong playing Phillip Rivers with how much they throw the ball.
Okay, and me being a Giants fan, what's the deal with Eli?
You just never know what you're going to get. You never know what is going to go out there. I mean, that Philadelphia game, he looked like he had never played quarterback, and then he throws 6 touchdowns against New Orleans. And then New England. It amazes me how many good games he's had against New England, because you would think that's a guy that would really struggle against New England with how New England is always the most prepared and does the best job on tape, and yet Eli and his inconsistencies goes out there and plays well against them every time.
Hey, Brett, are you going to market those bobbleheads for me?
I hope so. Brett asked, Manziel being the starter now, do you want him or do you look away?
Look any direction you want. Look away. look away.
See? I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is they aren't running the ball that well. They don't have an elite receiver. If Josh Gordon was there and had been in the system the whole year, maybe he'd be a little more intriguing. But he just doesn't have the players around him that are going to make him look good, and he can't read an NFL defense that well yet. But he is better than last year, but that's not saying much.
Correct. We got all the questions answered for Derek?
Come on, guys. You don't always get this opportunity. Throw some questions in there.
That's right. See, I went and covered some quarterbacks that I wanted to know about. What about Jameis Winston, actually?
Yeah, Jameis Winston. What's his?
I mean, he's played better the last few weeks, but the thing is he still isn't throwing a ton of touchdown passes, and even against Dallas, he only had 1 rushing touchdown. I'd like to see what he does now that he seems to be reading defenses a little better. If they get Vincent Jackson back in there, then he'll have Evans and Jackson, and that definitely could help, and the schedule's favorable. But I still think he's a quarterback, too, the rest of the way. Showed better than I thought, though. I didn't have many high hopes for him coming out of Florida State and with his maturity issues, and he does seem to be playing above expectations.
You know what? Okay. You know what quarterback intrigues me in the NFL this year? The Oakland Raiders quarterback, Carr.
Yes, I was shocked at Fantasy Pros this year when the consensus ranking was in the low 20s with him. When they added Amari Cooper, I thought he was going to be a top 15 fantasy quarterback this year, and he's exceeded that. That's a nice young offense they're building there, and they're doing it the right way. And the other one is Blake Bortles down in Jacksonville with Hearns and Robinson. Both those young quarterbacks are looking very good.
I wish Morgan was in here to hear that you say that right now, because we have a friend of ours who's just in love with Blake Bortles. Just totally in love with that guy.
I don't know if I'm in love with Blake Bortles. I'm in love with Allen Robinson, though. That guy is just an absolute stud. And then with Hearns doing so well, it's making Bortles' job easier. And that's the thing. Bortles is definitely ahead of Johnny Football and Teddy Bridgewater. There's no arguing that. But when you have a guy like Allen Robinson there, it definitely makes your job a lot easier.
Brett's asking a question. Speaking of the Bucs, do you take any of the Bucs offensive players or no?
Mike Evans, you have to. He's been on a tear the last couple of weeks. He's starting to emerge as the wide receiver, weekly wide receiver one that everybody thought he was going to be. Doug Martin has slowed a little bit. I don't know what to think of him. Vincent Jackson, when he comes back, is going to be a wide receiver 3. The only one that's a must start is Mike Evans. The other ones are all going to be matchup driven. Okay, and your buddy Paul asks, should I start the Red Rifle or look to the waiver wire? The Red Rifle is playing at Arizona this week, and it's in prime time, and he hasn't had the greatest luck in prime time. Depends on how deep the waiver wire is. If you're in a 14-team league, there's probably not going to be much on the waiver wire to help you out there. If you're in a 10-team league, there might be some options out there that you could go and look at. He's a low quarterback 1 to high quarterback 2 this week. There you go. Any other questions for Derek? Wow. Hey, Derek, I want to first of all, I want to thank you so much for spending all this. You've been here for almost 45 minutes, my friend. Yes, sir. It doesn't even seem like that. It seems like I just got here. So I really appreciate it. I will talk fantasy football anywhere. I love doing it, and you guys got a great show. Well, hey, thank you so much. That. Yeah. Hopefully we can get John again later on during the season. For sure. We'll definitely have to do this again. Okay. Hey, Derek, thank you so much. Before we let you go, though, I wanted you to tell everybody how they can follow you on Twitter, your website, all the good stuff so people can get in touch with you and all that stuff. Sure. My Twitter handle is at Derek Lofland. That is DEREKLOFLAND. Fantasy Football Maniacs with an X. And one thing that I love about our site is we have a comment section in there where if you want to know, do I pick this guy up off the waiver wire? Who should I start or who do I sit? You can leave a question in the comment section, and I usually can get back to those within 12 to 18 hours, depending on how busy my day is, depending if I'm talking fantasy football with you guys or not. So, right. and then I do the Ghost Ship there with my business partner, Nicholas Lloyd. That's a weekly webcast that we do where we talk about all the NFL news for the week. Going to be recording that in about a half hour. Well, you got a fan here now, so. Yeah, that's great. I was going to ask you something really quick. JPP's hand, does that do anything for it? What fantasy deal is he getting any fantasy points? What's the deal with him? In IDP leagues, I mean, he was putting pressure on Brady. If you look in the fourth quarter of that drive, Brady was uncomfortable in the pocket, and he had to make a lot of throws under pressure. He's only been back for a couple games. The thing is, in IDP leagues, I value middle linebackers on good defenses or safeties on bad defenses because that's who tends to get a lot of tackles. So, I mean, he's not going to be one of the top IDP players. But as far as for defensive ends, he does look like he is getting after the quarterback. And as he gets eased into this, he might be a guy that can generate some sacks down the stretch. For our viewers that are not up to speed on the acronyms of fantasy football, IDP standing for individual defensive player. Okay. Playing the standard leagues where you just take the team defense and whatever happens. I played in some leagues where you just select one or two and they try to dab into it. I played in more advanced ones where they have 6 or 7 IDP players. Wow. So it's just depends on the sophistication of your league. What do you think of dynasty leagues? I love dynasty leagues. The only thing is you gotta have the right group of guys to do that because you'll get guys that'll try something for 1 or 2 years and then they're leaving. And if you're always switching owners, they can be a drag. But if you got 10 guys, 12 guys that are hardcore, that've been into fantasy every year, and you can keep it, it's the way to be. Paul says IDP is mad fun. You want to jump in here real quick, Paul, and tell us what you mean by that? There you go. Come on, Paul, jump in real quick. You can talk to Derek quick before he's got to go through his about IDP. There you go. Before he's got to go and do his thing.
Several P style. And, defense is my favorite part of football, bar none. As many points as my offensive teams get, and Big E can testify to how good my teams are. Defense is what I live for in football. So they're all right. They're all right. Right.
My favorite IDP story, when I first moved to Chicago about 10 years ago, I don't know if this is true or not, but a guy told me he was in an IDP league, and all the other people hadn't read the scoring system. And so this buddy of his went, and so this will tell you when it was. He drafted Zach Thomas with his first round pick, Ray Lewis with his second round pick, Brian Urlacher with his third round pick. And everybody was laughing at him because they're like, what are you doing? You should be taking all these quarterbacks. But that's when those guys were getting 15 to 20 tackles a game, and nobody in the league could beat him because he had all the linebackers and all the safeties that were generating tackles and was scoring like 200, 250 pounds a week, 250 points a week just on his defensive players.
Nice.
Yeah. I've played there, done that. I've actually even done a just IDP league, no offensive players, which is kind of unique, very different. So
wow.
I have never played that. That sounds like a fascinating way to go.
It's different.
Right on. Cool.
Wow. That sounds
Anything else
like
for
fun,
Derek, Paul? Because I know you're the fantasy dude. This guy is. Let me put it to you this way: if I have a go-to guy in the league, Paul is him. Whenever I need to talk to him about fantasy or league stuff, and I go to him for a second opinion, so to speak.
Now, from a fantasy perspective, it was just the Red Rifles going to Arizona, so I'm not too sure if I want to start them. Big Ben's on a bye, so I'm kind of screwed on that end. As far as the waiver wire, being in first place puts me at the bottom of the list, so I'm kind of stuck that way. So I got to see what everybody else picks up. So don't want to.
Hey, I'm not that far down on the list. Who you need?
Let's make a deal.
And he's the commissioner, so the deal is going to be good either way.
No.
Looks fair to me. Just sign that through and make it happen.
We'll see. Well, we'll have to connect later after the show.
Okay.
There you go. Any more questions for Derek, Paul?
Derek, super insightful. Definitely going to check out your site. Really appreciate you coming on with these guys. It's my first show, but definitely be back for more.
And we appreciate having you, Paul.
Yeah. Right. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Good looking
appreciate
out.
it, brother. Take care.
All right. There goes our good friend Paul. Second time on the show today. Hey, Derek, I know you got to go and run and do your show. Thank you so much. I mean, you were here for 45 minutes. Thank you so much for spending the time with us talking about fantasy football. And again, for the people who just come in and for everybody on the replay, once again, tell them where they all can find you.
At Derek Lofland on Twitter, DEREK. Lofland is LOFLAND. Fantasy Football Maniacs with an X. Like I said, we do start-sit articles, waiver wire. You can leave questions in the comments section and listen to our Go Ship webcast that I do with my business partner, Nicholas Ward.
And you don't even have to go over to Twitter to find him. Just go out to the profile pictures up there and hover over his picture and click the little blue bird and just follow him just like that. Yep. That's how easy it is to follow Derek right here from Blab. How about that?
Derek, I appreciate you, man. You answered a lot of questions that I've been meaning to ask anybody at this point in time. You were very insightful, and I'm really looking forward to spending more time on your site to get a little bit more up in tune with everything.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Elliot. I had a really good time.
And we'll have you on again for sure closer into the playoff season.
Sounds good. Let me know when you need me back.
You bet. Thank you so much, Derek. We'll talk to you again really soon.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good night.
Take care, buddy.
Bye. There goes Derek Lofland, Fantasy Football Maniacs with an X.com. Go check it out. I'll put the link in there again for you guys, so you can go check that out. We're going to run to our final update of the day. This update is brought to you by The Flipper. Head on over to flipperflipper.com and never, ever touch your toilet seat ever again with your hands. It's The Flipper, and it's at flipperflipper.com. Take it away, Elliot, with the final update of the day.
Okay, Jeff, thank you very much. It's now 30 minutes after the hour of 7 p.m. here in the East, which just happens to make it the 4 p.m. hour in the West. For all you in the Central, Mountain, and Atlantic time zones, figure it out for yourself, because that's not what we're here to do. I would also like to take a moment to give a big shout out once again to senior writer Derek Lofland of fantasyfootballmaniacs.com for having taken the time to share with us his vast experience and knowledge of the great game of fantasy football here this evening. Now, with all these formalities covered, here is the final SWR update of the day. In the NBA tonight, there are 7 games on the schedule. The first game, there's actually one game on the way right now, is between the Milwaukee Bucks, who are visiting the Washington Wizards, and the score there is tied with 2:26 left in quarter number 1. The rest of the action for tonight shows Atlanta, the Hawks visiting the Brooklyn Nets at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The next 3 games are also 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which have the Cavaliers visiting the Pistons, the Timberwolves visiting the Miami Heat, and the Charlotte Hornets visiting the New York Knicks. In later action at 8 p.m., Denver, the Nuggets, will be visiting the New Orleans Pelicans. And the final game of the night, which will be on NBA TV, the second game on that channel, has the Toronto Raptors visiting Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors. In the NHL tonight, we have 6 games, and it looks like we have 4 games currently underway. The first game has the San Jose Sharks visiting the Boston Bruins. Boston has a 2-1 lead with 7:16 remaining in the first period. Dallas, the Stars, are visiting the Buffalo Sabres today, and with 7:33 left in the first, the Dallas Stars hold a 1-0 lead. In Philadelphia, the Flyers are hosting the Los Angeles Kings. That score with 10:18 actually to go in the first period is 1-0. St. Louis, the Blues, are visiting the Columbus Blue Jackets. That score is 1-0 with 7:01 remaining in the first. The final 3 games of the night will have the Minnesota Wild. I always have trouble remembering that name. The Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh. Colorado Avalanche visiting the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Anaheim Ducks visiting the Nashville Predators. And, ladies and gentlemen, that is the final update. And it was brought to you by The Flipper. Now, just imagine, folks, never having to touch your toilet seat with either of your hands ever again. Well, that's exactly what you'll have when you get your hands on The Flipper. For more information on this must-own sanitary device and to get one of your own, visit flipperflipper.com. That's flipperflipper.com. Once again, I am your host, or shall I say co-host, Elliot Biggie Lumbo, on the show that delivers real sports talk for real sports fans. That is sportsworldradio.com. That does it for this final update of the day. Now let's get it back over to you, Jeff, for more of Sports World Radio.
Welcome back to Sports World Radio. Jeff Escow, Elliot Biggie Lumbo, bringing you sports talk each and every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. in the East, 3 p.m. in the West. If you live somewhere else, just figure it out for yourself, because we don't. How about Derek Lofland staying in for 45 minutes?
He's the longest.
How about that?
That's the longest guest to date, right?
Yes. Nobody does 45-minute interviews anymore.
But you see, that's
even Matt Lauer.
That's the power of fantasy football, though.
Not even Matt Lauer does a 45-minute interview.
Because the man obviously could talk about fantasy football for hours and hours and hours.
45 minutes, man. Unstinking believable.
He enjoyed it. And I'm glad.
The other longer one was Mark.
Wasn't it Jacob?
Mark Jacobs from the
Jacob
Philly
Klinger.
Fanatic. No, Mark. No. It was Mark. What the heck? What the heck's his name, Mark? Yeah, Mark Jacobs, right? Right? Is that who it was?
Wait a minute. Paul, what are you saying? Matt Ryan is a no-go? Is Matt Ryan out?
Oh, great. Too bad we didn't talk to whatchamacallit about it. Oh, John Marks.
Let me go to
John Marks from the Fanatic was on for 40 minutes with us.
Oh, was he?
Talking Eagles football, you remember?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I hate to tell you, every interview we've done on Blab has been a minimum of a half hour.
Yeah. The ones that didn't last that long were the phone interviews.
That's it. And
well, once they get on here?
Yeah, minimum of a half hour. That's awesome. And Derek Lofland from FantasyFootballManiacs.com just spent 45 minutes with us. If you guys missed that, you got to go and listen to the replay, because that is freaking awesome, baby. Just awesome. Somebody commented to give me Ryan, and I said no. Oh.
Yeah, somebody was trying to
get Matt Ryan.
Who was trying to offer you Ryan?
Matty Ice.
Our league? Because I know who has Ryan in our league.
Matty Ice ain't so Matty Ice lately, so you never know with that. You know?
Yeah, and Matty Ice has been kind of cold.
Correct.
Not a smooth ice, cold ice.
Correct.
Okay. And he usually does that. He comes out like gangbusters, and then he just peters out halfway through the season, and then as it gets closer to playoff time, he just falls apart.
Yeah. Hey, tomorrow on the show, which is Wednesday, we got Josh Pavnil from Philadelphia Magazine talking Eagles football with us, and we also have our hockey guru Ron Gallo joining us tomorrow. So tomorrow's show is super jam-packed.
Oh, my God. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Tomorrow's show is super jam-packed. In the second hour, I can guarantee you we'll be talking hockey, which we do once a week on Sports World Radio every Wednesday. Ron's been coming on this show, Sports World Radio, for 7 years almost, every Wednesday to talk hockey.
Yeah, so I wouldn't put any stock in Matt Ryan either.
Hell no. Are you kidding me? We should have asked Derek about Matt Ryan. That was one of the quarterbacks we didn't get to.
About Matt Ryan?
One of the quarterbacks we didn't get to.
Well, we talked about Devontae Freeman and Julio Jones, but
we should have got to Fitzpatrick too with the thumb.
Well, Fitzpatrick's thumb thing, that's kind of old news now, and we'll have to see what happens. Little injury roundup.
Sure, let's do an injury roundup, even though it's only Tuesday.
Yeah, why not?
That's a great
our basketball guy's not here today, so
yeah, where is our basketball guy?
I have no idea. He didn't.
Our fantasy guy took up most of the basketball guy's segment.
You think he got mad and left?
How about that? I never even seen him show up.
No, I didn't either. Hey, thanks everybody that's here, that is still in the show with us. We appreciate you all. Everybody watching the replay. We can't thank you enough for being fans, viewers, whatever you want to label yourself, because I won't do it.
No, we're having a lot of fun today, and tomorrow's show is even going to be funner. We got two guests tomorrow, Josh Pavnil and Ron Gallo.
Man,
our Canadian connection.
That's going to be an easy show for me.
Yeah, Ron's got a great voice, man. You know Ron's voice. He's an ex-play-by-play guy for the Spruce Kings up there in Canada, man.
He's a hockey guy. You can hear it in his voice. He sounds like the hockey guys when the play-by-play, like Barry Melrose and them guys.
Yeah, he's great, man. I love having him on.
They all kind of sound alike when they're in Canada, dude.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And then on Thursday we got Darryl Ledbetter coming in from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution talking Falcons football. And Friday, perfect timing for this, boys and girls, from the Denver Post, talking Denver football with Cameron Wolf.
Osweiler. We're talking Osweiler football.
That's right. Going to be fun. So get your Bronco questions ready for Friday. Osweiler.
Get your Brock Osweiler questions ready for Friday.
Oh, my God. I got to have to go do some research on that guy.
Hey, a little bit of bad news for the Eagles backfield. It appears that Ryan Matthews did not participate in Tuesday's practice. Matthews left the Eagles' 2019 loss to the Dolphins on Sunday in the third quarter, finishing with 8 carries for 18 yards and a touchdown. He's currently on concussion protocol.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And so that's going to give, for you fantasy fans out there, that's going to give Darren Sproles a lot more touches for this week's game. So go out and get Darren Sproles if he's on the waiver wire. All right. The Texans have announced that Brian Hoyer is day-to-day after suffering that concussion during last night's game against the Bengals. He is in the concussion protocol. Coach Bill O'Brien says that they are hopeful Hoyer
Jay Yates is going to be starting on Sunday
versus the Jets.
Oh, God. Fitzpatrick. How about this for quarterbacks? Fitzpatrick and Yates. That's a matchup I really want to see.
Yeah, no doubt. Yates. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick and Yates. That's a matchup I really want to see.
Jeff Darlington of NFL Media reports that Jaguars wide receiver Allen Hurns has with a core issue, has returned to Jacksonville after seeing a core specialist in Philadelphia. According to Darlington, all signs still indicate Hurns playing on Thursday night against Tennessee. Hearns did participate in Tuesday's practice.
You know what really stinks? I'm looking at Sunday's TV guide because you know me. I like to look ahead to see what's coming for this week.
What they're going to torture you with this week?
I'm going to be tortured with one morning game and only one morning game because I get one afternoon game and it's the Chiefs and Chargers. Okay? The morning game I get is the Cowboys at the Dolphins.
Oh.
Can you believe that crap? I hope I'm not up. I really hope I'm not up. Although I wouldn't mind seeing Sue break freaking Romo's collarbone again.
Oh my God, really?
I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen. Sue's gonna get him, gonna land on top of him. There goes his collarbone. Castle's gonna come in, and they're gonna be pissed off that they got rid of the weed.
Well, I don't know, man.
That's another thing we didn't ask Derek about. Castle.
What's there to ask? He's not there. He's on the bench now.
Yeah, but come on. Romo takes one good shot to that shoulder. It could get dislocated again. See, you wouldn't want to be you. Castle will be in, and they got no backup.
They got
rid of the weed.
The Tennessee Titans officially placed cornerback Jason McCourty with groin injury and wide receiver Justin Hunter with a broken ankle on injured reserve Tuesday. Interim head coach Mike Mularkey announced that move on Monday. The Titans added wide receivers Trey McBride and Andrew Terzilli to their active roster.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah, I don't even know who those guys are. So yeah, that's a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah, that's a bunch of malarkey right there. I don't even know who those guys are. Skippy gives Romo praise for saying that with him back that the Cowboys can win the whole thing. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
you know something? I read something last night. Was it last night or was it this morning? I don't know. All these days are running in. I read something. First of all, the NFL is going to give no discipline to Johnny Manziel for his off-field problems.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, I read something that Mr. Dez Bryant wasn't fully concentrating on Sunday. He said that.
What shitty excuse did he use?
That's what he said.
For not concentrating.
I don't remember what the crappy-ass excuse was, but I do remember him saying that I wasn't fully concentrating and wasn't totally into the... What? What? They pay you how much and what?
And you're going to admit to that?
Correct. I don't know where I saw it. I got to go find it.
You're a freaking moron, man.
But correct. Is that nuts or what?
You know, when Dez Bryant opens his mouth, bad things are bound to happen.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, huh? I just don't get it.
People, Brett says he got lazy. Yeah, you know, and what makes it worse is you got people enabling him by saying that, oh, well, he couldn't push off the foot because of his fifth metatarsal, this, that, the other. He didn't go after that ball because he's Dez Bryant and he thinks he can get every freaking call that in the NFL.
Correct. My a buddy of mine always writes big stuff on Sportsworldradio and publishes it. You know, writes articles and stuff and publishes it on Sportsworld. Here's one that he put out today, about 10 hours ago. Monkey see, monkey do. Hardy was late and missed meetings all last week. Isn't he the guy Jerry said was the team leader? Quit drinking the cheap scotch, Jerry. Damn, you have become a complete idiot. I don't blame Hardy. They let Dez do it. Why not him or the whole team? I can't believe all this crap. It's not football. I know. And he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
That's coming from a Cowboys fan. Okay? He writes this stuff on Sportsworldradio Facebook page all the time. Everything bad I ever wrote about Dez Bryant is true. As usual, today, 5 for 12. Dropped 2 right in his hands. The last gave Tampa Bay the ball to win. He's pissed. He's ripping everybody. He's pissed, and I don't blame him.
No, I don't.
But I find that funny that he rips the Cowboys every single day on Sports World Radio's Facebook page, and he's a Cowboys fan. That's a beautiful thing. Dez is a diva, Paul. A major diva.
Major.
And he needs to stop. Because if I was Jerry Jones, I'd cut his ass.
Hey, Paul, didn't I mention one of our owners is the Des Bryant of our league? You know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah, we have an owner who we labeled the Des Bryant of our league because there's a lot of that going on.
Mm-hmm. There's our Facebook page. I put the link in the chat room. Go over there and like our Facebook page, and you can read some of that stuff that he puts up. It's just fascinating stuff, man.
He will lose this week and deliver me my 9th straight win. Yeah, he's playing that particular owner this week, Paul is. There's been a back and forth between himself and the other owner. His name's Casey. Nice. Casey went 7-0 to start the season, and he was really, chest pumped out, and he'd been baiting or goading Paul, saying that he's going to beat him in week 11 when they face each other. Well, since that time, Paul has actually won 8 straight games. He now has he started out 0-2, won 8 straight. He now has the best record in the league. Casey, who started 7-0, is on a 3-game losing streak, and now he has the 3rd best record in the league. So this week, I have a feeling that Paul's right. He will win his 9th straight because Casey has lost a lot, but then there's many of us in the league that we don't really shed a tear over that.
Right.
We really don't. Casey let everybody have it at one point or another during his win streak.
Mm-hmm.
No. He's definitely not the most liked person in the league. But you know what?
Bet.
He's a good owner. He's always active. He participates. Yeah, he talks a lot of trash. And that's okay. It's all in good fun. But, I got a feeling he might go down this week. And I don't really care because you know what? If he goes down, that just means somebody else could catch and pass him before the season is over.
Uh-oh.
What?
I smell it. It could be happening.
What?
Yeah, are you talking about you?
Oh, no, he's not talking about me.
No, you. Are you talking about you passing him?
Oh, no, because I'm in the East Division and Casey's in the West. But my son is in the same league. My son David is in the league, and he has a chance to catch Casey if Casey's streak continues to go south, or if his season continues to go south the way it has the last 3 weeks. So I mean, I'm a root for my son, except if I'm playing him in the finals or something.
Right. I'm watching Kentucky and Duke. 14-9, Kentucky.
Yeah, Paul's right. If certain things fall a certain way, he and I could very well be facing each other in the final this year, because we have the 2 strongest I believe the 2 strongest rosters in the league. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we got a lot of competitive guys in the league. We got guys that know that sometimes, you don't think they do, but there's guys in the league that know what they're doing. So,
right. Miguel Cotto was stripped of his WBC middleweight belt after refusing to comply with WBC rules and regulations. What an idiot. Who's he think he is, Manny Pacquiao? Who's he think he is, Mayweather?
No, because Miguel Cotto doesn't run when he's in the ring.
That's true. He runs after the guy instead of away from the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
Miguel Cotto actually goes into the ring to fight, whereas Mayweather goes to flight.
Right.
Okay. And that's the way that story goes.
Exactly. What a bunch of yokels.
What a great thing Derek Lofland did tonight by staying on with us, wasn't it?
45 minutes,
45
man.
Minutes. That's almost half the show.
That's crazy.
Love to have him.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we will. Oh, yeah, we'll get him on towards the playoff time, because that's when all the fantasy starts to change and everything, right?
Yep, absolutely. Rounding out the injury report, the Ravens have placed wideout Brashad Perryman on season-ending injury reserve. And wide receiver Kendall Wright of the Tennessee Titans did not practice on Tuesday because of a knee issue. Before I take it back to you, Jeff, to wrap up the show, let me just run the scoreboard down real quick in the NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks currently have a 38-36 lead, visiting the Washington Wizards with 7:18 to go in the half. And now with 6:49 left in the first quarter, the Atlanta Hawks lead the Brooklyn Nets 7-4. 5:06 left in the first. The visiting Cavaliers trail the Detroit Pistons 19-16. With 6:54 to go in the first, the Timberwolves in Miami are trailing 13-10. And with 5:17 to go in the first quarter, the New York Knicks lead the Charlotte Hornets 13-11. And as I mentioned before, 8 o'clock tonight, Denver at New Orleans, and at 10:30, Toronto at Golden State. And in hockey, at the end of the first period, San Jose Sharks 2-2 with the Boston Bruins. And Buffalo 1-0 Dallas lead at the end of the first. Also at the end of the first, the Kings and Flyers tied at 1, as well as the St. Louis Columbus Jackets game also tied at 1. With 12:49 to go in the first, Minnesota trails Pittsburgh 1-0. That game is in Pittsburgh. The Penguins currently hold that lead. And with 11:10 to go in the first, the Colorado Avalanche trail the Toronto Maple Leafs 1-0. Back to you, Jeff.
Sports World Radio is sponsored by Professional Recording Studio Equipment.com. Head on over there, get all your recording equipment that you need, microphones, mixers, pop filters, mic stands, anything you need. Head on over to Professional Recording Studio Equipment.com. And don't forget, you guys tired of touching your toilet seat with your hand to lift it up and lift it down? Head on over to flipperflipper.com and take care of that problem. Never, ever touch your toilet seat ever again with your hand. It's the Flipper, and it's at flipperflipper.com. We're going to get the flock out of here. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today. We had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. I want to thank Derek Lofland of FantasyFootballManiacs.com to come on and spend 45 minutes with us talking fantasy football. What a great trooper, and we'll get him back on again real soon, probably towards the playoff time over there. I want to thank everybody again for listening to us. We do this show each and every Monday through Friday on Blab, the blabchannel.com, and on sportsworldradio.com. All replays are on sportsworldradio.com as well as blab.im under Sportsworld Radio. Check them all out if you missed any one of our shows. Until tomorrow, my friends, remember, you only have one life to live. Live it long, live it strong, and live it proud. And please don't forget, life may suck, but the alternative is unacceptable. Peace out, everybody. Have a great, great night. For Elliot, Big E Lamba, Derek Lofland, I'm Jeff Escow. This has been Sports World Radio.
Adios, bitches.
To Sports World Radio with your hosts, Jeff Escow and Elliot Big E Lamba. Online at sportsworldradio.com. Sports World Radio, the equal opportunity ripper. We'll catch you next time.